are making our own story as we go. As we go. As we go.
Hello, hello. This is Kathy Peach Lucas with your Dream Day podcast. And today I'm at Rhinegeist Brewery in downtown Cincinnati. And we are going to learn about their I Do's and Brews wedding show coming up in May. Good morning, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. So we've got Katie and Hannah, and they're going to tell us a little bit more about I Do's and Brews. When is it? When is it? What time is it? What time is it? How do people find out?
Yeah,
Go.
so it's going to be on Sunday, May 18th. It's from 12 to 3, and then we're going to be utilizing our private event spaces and our tap room. You can find information about it on social media and Humanitics, the Rhinegeist webpage, all the good stuff.
So what can couples expect when they come?
We've got about 70 to 75 vendors this year, which is a pretty big jump from last year.
That's huge. That's as big as like Wendy's and Bridal Rama.
Yeah, we definitely
all under one roof in Rhinegeist.
Yeah, I
wow.
know. We had a lot of success last year, so we're kind of taking up a little bit more of our tap room space this year and kind of allowing more vendors to come in, which we're super excited about. And yeah.
So what types of vendors can couples expect?
Really, anything. We've got a few wedding dress vendors, venues, food, flowers, all the different things. We have a tattoo artist coming this year, which we're super excited about.
Real tattoos or fake tattoos?
Real tattoos.
Real tattoos.
Yeah,
Wow.
real tattoos.
How does that work? Don't they have to have like licensing and?
It is a little bit of insurance and licensing, but they kind of all handle it on her end, and yeah, we're super excited to have her.
This is the first I've ever heard of a tattoo artist. Is this like a new thing that couples should expect on the horizon, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it trending more often for event tattoos, and they create specific like flash style tattoos. So these are all going to be geared wedding inspired kind of tattoos.
So
for
basically,
couples.
it's like they have a menu and you pick one of a few.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not like they can come in with their own artwork in advance or anything like that.
Yeah.
Though that would be fun
That
if
would
you,
be fun.
if you included
Draw your own.
I was gonna say if you included that in the wedding invitation and be like, hey, we're having a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want custom ink,
Let us know.
let us
Yeah.
know. Well, I'm sure the couple would probably get their monogram and wedding
Sure.
date on it
That would be
too.
cute.
That would be so fun. Oh my gosh. So what other kind of interactive things can people expect at the wedding show? Because like you tend to have photographers, and so they would bring, I would assume, a lot of their albums and things that they can view to get an idea of their work.
Yeah, we've got food samples usually from all of our food vendors. A lot of our photographers bring books that they've done, especially like photos from events that they've had at Rhinegeist that they've shot. We also have a few different vendors doing fun setups that we're very excited to see play out.
DJs playing music.
DJs playing
Yeah,
music,
giving
yes.
samples of their work.
Well, and one thing that's so great about Rhinegeist, which a lot of venues in Cincinnati don't do this, you allow any caterer.
We do.
Yeah.
So what have you found has been the greatest asset of having that as an amenity here?
I think it's important that we can be inclusive of people who have dietary restrictions, maybe religious things that they need to follow, or just like a taste of home that if they're not local, they can find that here and bring that in for their wedding. So.
That's huge. That's huge because I only know I could probably count on two hands the number of venues in Greater Cincinnati that do allow that. So that's got to be a monster selling point for you.
Yeah.
So now I have a question about parking. How does parking work at Rhinegeist? Because I for those of you that don't know, I just got a new car a couple of weeks ago, and I got to parallel park my car for the first time today, and I learned I have a lot of practice to go.
I love work in the first place, so you're better than me.
See, I had to learn how to do it because it was part of the New York State driving test. Because I grew up in New York, so you didn't pass if you couldn't parallel park.
I would not pass. Yeah, parking here is definitely a little tricky, but we try to work around it. Free options are definitely our lot across the street and any street parking nearby. We also really utilize Findlay Market's parking garage as well as their main lot, and we do work with Tri-State Valet.
I was wondering if you guys had a valet
super
partner.
nice asset. They park directly across the street from us, and just guests can walk directly to their event. Anything under 100 guests is a flat 1,000 fee for the evening, and anything over is 1,500.
Actually, that's not bad because if you think about if you go to a concert and you pay $15 for parking and you have, let's say you have 200 guests, you figure there's got to be 75 to 100 cars. That's actually very reasonable.
Yeah.
They're here the whole evening. Take care of your car. It's all safe.
Yeah.
Well, and it was fun. I had a podcast last week with an etiquette person.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fascinating because we were talking about the differences between tradition and etiquette. And one of the things that came up with her was that you want to focus on the guest experience and making it as pleasant for them and as easy and enjoyable as possible. And valet was one of the things that, had come up, and, just making your guests experience less frustrating. And that's where valet parking can certainly come into play.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
For sure. And what are the current rates to rent the different spaces here at Rhinegeist?
It kind of depends. We have 2 different kind of wedding options that we usually go off of, and we also host like rehearsal dinners, welcome parties, all the things in all 4 of them. But we have our signature room and lounge, which is 80 guests or less, and then we also have our clubhouse and annex upstairs, which is like 250 guests.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can accommodate a wide variety of parties here, which is nice. When did you open?
We started hosting events in 2015.
Wow. So it's your 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to see that throughout the wedding show, right? Tell me about your favorite wedding that you've ever had here at Rhinegeist. What's the first one that jumps to mind?
Hannah's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
right.
was here 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
It was definitely special to be able to coordinate. I was her coordinator, to coordinate one of my team members' weddings. And it just was special to see a Rhinegeister get married at Rhinegeist because we all love it here. So, yeah.
And we're both Rhinegeisters,
We
too.
are Rhinegeisters.
So.
Wow.
My
So,
husband and I are both Rhinegeisters. So
and
we're
you work
Rhinegeist
here, so
couple.
this is like the work marriage made in heaven, and he's like the home marriage made in heaven.
Exactly.
So here's the big question: what beers did you have on tap?
A range of the, mainstays that we have. We pretty much were drinking Cincy Light all night because it's just nice and easy and something that you can keep drinking versus Truth is kind of like too
Truthful.
Yeah, it's a little too heavy.
Yes.
But Cincy Light is a great one to just drink throughout the whole night.
So which beers are available for people to have on tap? Do you have like any restrictions as to what beers they can
Yeah,
have?
so each space has a different number of beers available. We try to keep it pretty standard and drinkable and have a nice variety for everybody. But we're kind of at the mercy through our brew team of what's available for us to put on tap. So we do ask couples favorites, but we'll do our best to get it on. We typically always have the standards of like Cincy Light, Truth, Cheetah, Bubbles.
Thank
That's
you.
usually on too.
Can you tell I'm a bubble girl?
Yes.
I'm bubbly
good.
even without the beer.
Yep.
So well, cool.
Yeah.
How many cake vendors would you say that you have? Because cake is a big thing to try at wedding shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head how many we have this year. I know we had at least like 2 or 3 last year, and all 3 of them had samples out, which was really nice to try and kind of test out what kind of cake you would want for your wedding.
Well, it's not even just cake, it's the caterers that come too, because they bring samples. And that's one of the huge benefits of going to a wedding show is that you get to actually try the cake and try the hors d'oeuvres and talk to the photographers. And it's not that I'm not a fan of online directories and Facebook groups, but you may be getting a recommendation from somebody whose personality is completely different from you.
From your work, yeah.
Yep. Or you might be getting a referral for somebody who maybe targets a lower budget bride, and you may be wanting something a little more elegant and higher presentation and whatnot. And so I think it's really important to go to these wedding shows because you'll know right away when you start looking at a caterer's pictures, are they going to be in a budget range? Are they going to be in a medium range? Or are they going to be in a high range? Because your budget, 50% of it is the catering.
Yeah. It's a big bill I don't think people think about as much.
What was some of your experiences, now that you're on the other side now, you're on the married side, what were some of the things that you found during your planning process surprised you the most?
Just, I guess, all the questions coming at you from all different angles. I actually got to experience, having an outside caterer because I'm from the Hamilton area. So we brought in someone that we locally love called CW Barbecue.
Ooh, yum.
yeah, they were great to work with, and it was nice to have a bunch of local touches from Hamilton, even though we had the Cincinnati wedding.
Oh, that's cool. What were some unexpected surprises that came up while you were planning?
I feel like we really didn't have a ton, which I know is not a good answer.
a great answer.
Yeah.
It probably is going to give a lot of people hope who are listening to this.
I feel like I was set up for success from working on this team and working in the wedding industry and having a lot of people around me that were already married. So, plus a lot of our friends just got married. We went to like 7 or 8 weddings in a row. So we got to really see all the different vendors, all the things.
So if you got 9 dresses, that means you have how many to go to get to 27?
I know, we were nearing it. We were definitely nearing it.
What were some of your wedding colors?
Oh, we had like blues and greens, which were really pretty.
What did you do for centerpieces?
We had beer growlers.
What is that?
It's like it's a 64-ounce like jug essentially that it was more popular a few years ago, but people would take beer to go in them essentially. So I had a beer growler at each table from a different brewery, and then Costco flowers in them, which was a very budget friendly way to put flowers on the table, and then just candles and table numbers.
Very cool. Who did your cake?
Luke's Custom Cakes in Hamilton.
I am Luke, if you're watching, I'm obsessed with you. I'm obsessed with your cakes. Like his cakes are like they're one of the best cakes I've ever had.
Yeah, we got one of their cake sampler boxes, which was great, and then we ended up getting a cookie cake for our actual wedding because we're big cookie people. And they did a great job.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, do you have anything you were there that day? What did you see behind the scenes? Did anything happen that she just didn't know about that you made magically disappear?
Honestly, I don't think so. We had I know. But we had a really great team that day. She had great vendors. Everybody was very easy to work with. So it was easy to make it a nice, seamless, stress-free, hopefully, day.
Yeah.
Now, how much time do couples have to set up when they get here? How does the contract work?
Yeah, so typically on the day of your wedding, you can come in as early as noon. So we typically recommend having a planner or a family member that is dying to help you to come in and set up those things. And they can take as long as they need.
Okay. Well, that's good. What if you've got somebody that has a elaborate setup? Do they have to pay a little bit extra to come in earlier? How do you work that? Is that just on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah. It's not too often that we have something like that, but it would definitely be a case-by-case basis.
Got it. And then how late can they stay?
Yeah, so bar close time and event end time is always 11:30, and then we typically try to help consolidate decor, and then you're welcome to take it the night of, or you can come back usually the next morning, depending on what's going on.
Oh, that's
to
great.
pick it up. Yeah,
That's great. Well, because especially like this wouldn't have been the case in yours, but with florists, they want to get their hardware back.
Yeah.
And some people don't realize, like when we say hardware, that means all the vases, all the glass, everything that all these flowers are in, and they're big. And they're heavy and they're fragile and they're bulky.
Yeah.
And it really is a big deal to be able to, come back the next morning and pick that up versus having to come back at 1 a.m. when you're tired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a huge plus. I know. Like as a planner, there've been times where the florist has said, "Can you take care of putting all the hardware away and then I'll get it in the morning?" And of course I'm like, "Sure. I'll do it for you."
Yeah. I think it's such a nice thing that we offer that brides can just kind of leave everything at the door and enjoy their wedding night, and then they can come back the next day to get everything and
Did you
live
have
out the night.
Did you have a rehearsal dinner here as well?
I did not, but we do host them very, very frequently. We actually have someone from our offices that's getting married at Mojave East, but she's having her rehearsal dinner with us.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I'm going to talk about hotels.
Okay.
Did you have a hotel block, or are there hotels around the area that you tend to work with a lot with regard to guests, hotel sleeping rooms?
We don't quite work with any hotel specifically. We did the Hilton Netherland Plaza, which we had a good experience with, but I know there's plenty of close by ones that either offer streetcar stop is a really nice feature. And just as far as Ubering, all the different things.
You're right with the streetcar, because the streetcar has gone ding ding just a few times since we've been doing this podcast. And I'm not familiar with the streetcar. I know it exists, but I'm not sure exactly what stops it goes on. I know it goes through Findlay Market because I've had to pull over several times when I've been shopping at Findlay. But what streets does it hit downtown?
It's pretty much everywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
We also have a really nice Airbnb that's directly next to us, like less than a block from us, called the Sus Lofts. It's SUSS. A lot of their rooms are actually labeled after Rhinegeist beers, but we work with them sometimes, but they have a bunch of different rooms where you can either rent out the whole building and like whole wedding party can stay there, or certain rooms, but it's very nice for weddings here because you can just walk here.
That's a huge perk. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful relationship, especially because couples, when they're getting ready, they want to do their hair and makeup in a place that they're not all cramped up. And,
Right.
either hotels are your only option or an Airbnb. And sometimes, like, what I've been finding with Airbnbs is they're starting to get more and more restrictive on how many people you can have inside the Airbnb at any given time.
Yeah.
Or you have to pay extra if you're going to have your rehearsal dinner there or whatnot. So,
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah, I had a wedding in Michigan last year, and their original plan was they were going to have the rehearsal dinner at this Airbnb that they had rented that was huge. And then, like, 2 weeks before the wedding, they're like, "Oh, well, you're going to have to pay $75 a person for them to actually come."
Interesting.
And they're like, "We have 28 people. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are, where did this come from? You know?"
Yeah.
And it was, I guess they had a bad experience where somebody trashed the Airbnb,
yeah.
and now all these other people are paying the price for that. And so, I mean, I know what they did. I had to look a blind eye
Yeah.
because I said, I have to play, like,
Middleman.
Sure.
I have to play need to know basis. I didn't know because I did know. But they basically said, we're just going to roll the dice and take our chances. And, if we have to pay, if they call us out on it, we're going to pay. But,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm not encouraging that at all, just for the record. But it's something to be aware of, if you plan to have, a get together of a large group at an Airbnb, definitely check that red fine print because there's more and more starting to do that now.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, so that's because you had the best wedding ever.
Yeah. So much fun.
So what did your dress look like?
It was pretty fitted for the most part, and had straps up on the top, but it was very pretty.
What did the men wear?
They all wore gray. It's like hard to remember now. I'm like, what did they wear?
When do you get your pictures back so you can remember?
Very soon, hopefully. Hopefully, like first week of June. That would be great.
Well, I can't wait to see pictures of it. That'll be amazing. So how do people schedule a tour here at Rhinegeist?
So typically through our website, we have a little area to inquire on, and then we always send a response with different tour weekends that we have. We usually host one tour date a weekend, and have times ranging from like 8 a.m. to 4, depending on our event schedule that we have going on. But usually just email is the best way, through our website, the inquiry.
Okay, and you are fantastic with email because while we were scheduling the podcast, I would get these instantaneous responses, which actually is just a shout out to you because there are venues that take days to get back to you, and couples get impatient. They want to know, are you available? I've got work to do. I need to book my venue.
Yeah.
You're stressing me out by making me wait.
We really, really do try to be 24 hours or less. We even sometimes take days on our weekends just to do inquiries all day, just to make sure everyone has an answer, because we do understand that people are very eager to start the planning process, and we want to be here to help them.
Well, and what's interesting, I mean, you guys are not guilty of it all as far as ghosting, but one thing that, in the industry we've been talking a lot about is couples ghosting vendors.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you reach out to us, we're going to get back to you. I have a 48-hour rule. That is my max. And if I don't get back to you in 48 hours, it means that I'm either on vacation and can't pick up the phone because I'm in Mexico somewhere, or, there's something major, but usually I get back to them much, much faster than that. But you get couples who will ask you your availability. Then you send this really nice, reach out to them, and then crickets.
Yeah.
And then you send another one, crickets. And then you send another one, crickets. And then you're like, if you're going in another direction, that's totally fine. Just tell me,
Yeah.
and then it's still crickets. So, one thing for couples who are listening, just make sure that you get back to us. This is just our business and our livelihood. We just want to make you happy. If you don't want to use our services, or if you found somebody else that's a better fit, we are not going to take it personally. We just would like to know, so we'll stop bothering you. Because we don't want to be pests. We want to be happy people and, and have a great wedding day.
Well, sometimes that's when those wedding expos are helpful, because you can kind of get a face-to-face interview with a lot of your vendors, and you can kind of follow up from there after you're really, really interested, and maybe versus being less interested to start off with.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how wedding shows are so great because you actually get to talk to the vendor.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can't book a wedding directly from a website, but I think especially your photographer, you need to have a very good, comfortable relationship with them, because out of any vendor on your wedding day, you're going to spend the most time with them.
Yeah, they're going to be there sunrise to sundown.
And the one vendor that you won't see the entire wedding day, except for maybe here and there, is going to be your planner. Because, you know, that's a common thing. That's a common misconception, because planners work so behind the scenes, and we're trying to just make everything get magically set up and magically go perfect and help you divert any bad things from happening. And, you know, if you really want to know, we'll tell you the week after your wedding, but we're not going to tell you that night.
Funny stories afterwards.
Yep. What would you say is the funniest story from your wedding day?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I feel like the day went so perfectly. It's hard to like remember things that like went funny or bad or anything.
Oh,
It's really hard to say. I don't know.
We'll have this same conversation next year and we'll see what she says.
I mean, I think speaking on like having a planner and all the things, we do have some planners in our space, but we do offer day of coordination, which is what Katie does here. And I think it's a super nice thing to have on your wedding day to kind of help put out fires behind the scenes. So really anything that could happen hopefully doesn't, because that coordinator will kind of take that place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and, you know, we work with venue coordinators a lot, you know, and I think that's actually, that could be a whole nother podcast, the difference between what a venue coordinator does and what a wedding planner does. I mean, in a lot of cases, you know, I don't expect you to be under the bride's dress doing her bustle, and
I will happily do that.
But there are certain things I would never expect you to do, or like if there's family, you know, politics that start getting into play, or, you know, taking care of getting the wedding party situated where they need to go as far as photos go. You know, there is some overlap on things that we do. There's also no overlap on things that we do. And there are things that I would never in a million years ask a venue coordinator to do.
But a lot of times I feel like people don't really think about everything that goes into a wedding versus like, this is our world. So we know all the questions to ask, all the little details. So sometimes when it gets to the wedding day and no one knows how to bustle the dress, sometimes we are the best people to do it, because no one knows how to.
I'll tell you, there are two dress bustles in 21 years that I was not able to figure out.
Really?
And
mine did break. I guess that's a funny thing that happened.
that's actually pretty normal. Was it a French bustle, or was it a over bustle?
You know, I don't know what it was called. But it definitely, I think someone stepped on it, so it ripped out.
That'll do it. That's okay. No, one time we had, this was years ago. It was at the Hilton, Netherlands. And this girl had her dress altered out of state. And at one point, you know, she said, you know, are you going to be able to figure this out? And I said, well, hopefully. You know, I said, most of the time we can figure it out. And she's like, well, my seamstress said that she always goes to the wedding reception to bustle the dress. Well, I learned why. Nobody could figure this out. We had 5 different people. Like, we had all the venue coordinators. We had my whole staff. We had the florist underneath this dress. None of us could figure this thing out. And like, it was just the most bizarre. I can't even describe how bizarre it was. I mean, it literally had a curtain hook like that. And somehow all of these layers were supposed to gather into this big hook, and we couldn't figure out how exactly, and nobody went with her to her fitting. So nobody videotaped how the bustle was supposed to look. So we just, poor thing. I mean, we were doing surgery on that dress all night. And then the other one was, it was a beautiful, beautiful gown. But we had to have the bride on her knees in a squat because we had to go all the way around her. It was a 360.
Oh,
wow.
It was a 360.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
I haven't seen one like it since. But literally, she had 32 ties that went the entire circumference of her dress. But yeah,
It's in a huge dress.
it was a huge dress. I mean, and on the wedding day, the dress is a person in itself. Like
Sure,
you have to squeeze it through doors. You have to sit on it. You have to turn it.
Yeah.
Breathing it.
Yeah.
Breathing. How did you breathe on your wedding day?
It was pretty in there, but I was able to breathe.
I think one of the things that's so funny, I was talking to one of my brides about this the other day, is that on your wedding day, you and your wedding party will bond in a whole new way when it comes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you do need assistance using.
Yeah, you do usually need assistance, especially the large poofy dresses. Those are definitely hard to go to the bathroom in, I would imagine.
Well, wonderful. So how can people get in touch with you on the website? What's the website address?
Yeah. Well, you can just email directly events@rhinegeist.com and one of us will get back to you there. Or you can go on to Rhinegeist's regular webpage, rhinegeist.com, and then there is a private events link that you can click. And there's an inquiry form on there as well.
And there's got to be information about that Do's and Brews event too.
Yes,
What's
yes.
the date and how can people get tickets?
It is May 18th from 12 to 3. And we do have a Humanitix link that is also on our website. It's very large right there. Tickets are $15 each, and you get a little goodie bag with all the different vendor info in it and entry to the event.
Do you get a beer?
Yes.
Can't go to Rhinegeist without a beer, right? Well, wonderful. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to hit the subscribe button so that you can listen to all of our different podcasts. We try to post one every week with a different vendor who is in the greater Cincinnati and Southwest Ohio area, Northern Kentucky, and the surrounding areas. So thank you so much for joining us. This is your Dream Day podcast signing off. Happy planning.